happy day. You and me, for us and me, all across that.
For decades, Gulliver's Travels was seen as Max Fleischer's attempt to imitate the success of Walt Disney's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. On the surface, this seemed so, but it was not really true. Starting in 1934, Max Fleischer had visions for animated features. As a test, he produced Poor Cinderella as Fleischer Studios' first color production.
I'm just a poor Cinderella.
A number of feature elements were used, such as a romantic female character, beautiful music, and fantastic imagery made possible by Fleischer's stereoptical process, which created a third-dimensional effect. While grand in concept, the timing for animated features was not right for Paramount. They had just recovered from bankruptcy and were not ready to take the risk. This followed the success of Walt Disney's Technicolor cartoons that created the demand for color. And Paramount had just approved color production for Fleischer. But in 1936, Fleischer Studios gained the use of full Technicolor and applied it to the epic Popeye the Sailor meets Sinbad the Sailor. This Popeye special was promoted as a feature since it ran 16 minutes and pioneered the longer format cartoon.
Hey, you can push me just so far. That's all I got to say now. Beat the beat, you know. That's what I got to say. Take that.
Sinbad proved that audience interest could be held for longer than 7 minutes, and Sinbad was presented for Academy Award consideration. While it lost out to Disney's country cousin, this did not stop Fleischer. Sinbad was followed by Popeye the Sailor meets Alibaba's 40 Thieves, which ran 18 minutes. The success of both Popeye specials gave Max more grounding to take on a full-length feature running over 1 hour. And the turning point came a month later with the Los Angeles premiere of Walt Disney's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. The New York premiere was set for February 1938, and the Fleischers were all set to see what Disney had done. Ironically, Snow White premiered at Radio City Music Hall, which was the very site where the Fleischer family had lived. Once again, Max reminded Paramount of his interest in producing animated features. And now that Disney had done it, there clearly was a market for them. For a month, Paramount executives expressed apprehensions about producing animated features. One memo from Bogart Rogers stated, "Seeing that Disney is so far ahead of Fleischer in every respect, any attempt to follow Snow White would be decidedly second-rate at best. I just don't think that Fleischer has what Disney has. Any feature picture that he might attempt might suffer badly by comparison." 2 weeks later, they had a change of heart. So what changed their minds? On March 1st, box office earnings for Snow White were released. This came to the attention of Paramount head Barney Balaban, who was aware that Disney's Pinocchio was set for a February 1940 release. Balaban saw the opportunity for a Christmas release in 1939 when there would be no competition from Disney. With 18 months ahead, he approved the production of an animated feature from Max Fleischer. But March 1st was the day of the groundbreaking for the new Fleischer studio in Miami, Florida. Production manager Sam Buchwald was already saddled with moving the studio and personnel while managing production, and now he had the additional burden of managing an animated feature. But the challenge was met. Several concepts were considered, including Neptune's Daughter, The Bluebird, and Peter Pan. Gulliver's Travels was finally selected because it was one of Max Fleischer's favorites. And the interest seems to go back several years with the issue of Miss Gulliver as a Big Little book featuring Betty Boop. What is interesting is that the title page makes reference to what may have been a proposed cartoon that was never made. While the original Jonathan Swift story takes Gulliver to the lands of Lilliput with its tiny people, and Brobdingnag with its giants, Fleischer's feature focused on Lilliput by Max's direction. He seemed interested in the perspective of the Lilliputians. So the story was centered on the argument between the two kings over which national anthem would be played at the wedding of Prince David of Blefuscu and Princess Glory of Lilliput. While much of the attention was on the two kings, the breakout star was the town crier Gabby.
What's a rainy day? Never mind that cloud. Behind that cloud you'll find a golden ray. All's well. Laugh your fears away. See the light ahead, right ahead. There's a moonlit night ahead. Everyone, come on, have fun. All's well.
To add commercial value, radio stars Jessica Dragonette and Lanny Ross were engaged as the singing voices for Princess Glory and Prince David. Radio announcer Sam Parker was the voice and live-action model for Gulliver. Jack Mercer, the voice of Popeye, was King Little, and Snoop, the second spy for Blefuscu. Storyman Ted Pierce was King Bombo, and Disney veteran Pinno Colvig was the voice of Sneak, the head spy, and Gabby in a sped-up recording technique. Since Gulliver was planned as a sentimental musical fantasy, Paramount assigned its best songwriters Leo Robin and Ralph Rainger to the project. Initial work on Gulliver was started in New York, and once the move to Miami was complete, formal production went into full force. In order to meet a December 1939 delivery, overtime was mandatory, with crews working day and night shifts. The publicity presented colorful stats on the massive materials used, as Dave Fleischer explained to Lanny Ross.
Well, first of all, there is a staff of 675 artists who are willing to work day and night for more than a year and a half on one picture. And they made 500,000 different drawings.
Why so many?
Well, you see, Lanny, it takes 24 separate drawings to produce just 1 second of action on the screen.
That's a lot of drawing.
By the time we got through, we had used 12 tons of paint, 16 tons of drawing paper, and we completely lost track of the pencils and brushes.
Now, that's really a titanic job, Dave.
Gulliver's Travels drew a tremendous crowd for Christmas 1939 and earned $3 million before going into foreign releases in February. Because of this, Balaban ordered another feature for Christmas 1941. And Paramount was so pleased with Gulliver's Travels that its score by Victor Young was submitted for Academy Award nomination. But 1939 was a banner year for film classics, and with the competition so great, the Gulliver score lost to The Wizard of Oz. While Gulliver's Travels is not considered as great as Disney's Snow White, it was a perennial holiday film on television during the 1960s, and it was a theatrical rental favorite for children's matinees. But most of all, Gulliver's Travels is the most famous non-Disney animated feature that has been beloved for decades. It continues to be appreciated now and will continue to be appreciated for generations to come.